All right, so I've remade this script probably upwards of 6 times now because I just don't know how to feel about this update for Helldivers. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. It's definitely a very mixed bag, and I really don't understand why it has to be this. A popular term going around is monkey's paw balancing, which is honestly, unfortunately, very true, especially when you look at the hidden values and hidden stats of some of the things that have changed. It just feels so slimy in a lot of ways. I had a whole script put together of like 20 minutes worth of talking, going over pretty much every bullet point that was in the patch notes, as well as a couple lines that I missed that might justify their behavior in some way, but it doesn't. There's a couple lines in there that say that they're trying to hit this light pen and medium pen having clear advantages, and that's why some of the durability values were changed on the enemies that exist, or at least in the patch notes on the enemies that exist in the game. I honestly just no longer believe that. I genuinely used to believe that the Coyote was it really was the strongest AR in the game, and it definitely outshined all the other ones, and I thought it needed a very slight tweak because the other ones sucked, but I also thought the other ARs needed buffed because that thing does fire damage and those ones do not. So I thought it needed to be brought down in some tiny little way, which they did in the most nonsensical way. That's not the issue. They gave us what we wanted by buffing all of the stats. All those stats that were positive for these weapons went up, whether it be damage, durable damage, ergonomics, that kind of thing. But then they do some incredibly moronic changes. Like for the SMGs and pistols, they quadrupled the drag. According to the math, since the SMGs and pistols first got messed with, it's like 4 times the drag. So they have basically shotgun range now in terms of damage fall off. Supposedly a lot of them are still decent, but pistols especially just kind of lost. I don't see why it needs to be that way. That's part of the monkey paw balancing. It just doesn't make any sense why they do it that way, because it really wasn't crazy to let them have a little bit more range, in my opinion. Then we get into the incredibly moronic stuff. Every single weapon in our arsenal in the patch notes has exact numerical changes for what was changed. Exact damage numbers as well as durable damage numbers, which is not a stat available in game. There have been people trying to justify what I'm about to say next because we're not supposed to know the values of enemies, but they contradict that with the patch notes over and over in the same patch. So what they did is they gave us exact numerical values for these weapons, but when it comes to enemies, they're okay with disclosing health value changes, but anything else they are incredibly vague with. Durable stats, resistance to fire, even damage reduction to fire, which was not in the patch notes. 2 enemies that I know of were changed without being in the patch notes, having more durable health on either their parts or their body and head. It doesn't make any sense to give us more durable damage, more damage and durable damage, and then inflate the durable health of these enemies to compensate for what was supposed to make these weapons feel better. They vaguely worded everything with the word slightly for every change to enemies that wasn't numerical health values, showing that they can't just be honest and they knew exactly what they were doing. The whole Coyote thing is just an extension of that because it was a very targeted change to that weapon, and it's not the numbers that changed that make me so upset. It's the fact that they didn't disclose it and they bragged that they didn't nerf the Coyote, and then they do something that directly affects the Coyote. Just be honest, man. It's so slimy. It's so unprofessional to behave this way. It honestly feels spiteful at this point, the way that they're acting. I really don't understand why they can't just give us a win when the game is in such a poor spot. The only thing I can think of that might actually answer that question is there was an interview done with Shams, and I forget the other gentleman's name, but they basically said that they wanted to build a game for a niche community, and it blew up, and they didn't know what to do with it. So now they have all of these Call of Duty fans that like their game. I find that to be kind of insulting, that phrase that he uses, Call of Duty fans, because everyone that saw interest in this game did not openly play or grind Call of Duty all the time. That just feels like a direct insult, especially with how bad Call of Duty has been in recent years. It seems like they have a very low opinion of anyone who doesn't openly support them no matter what, especially with labels like that. They've even said that they only browse low sodium discords and subreddits for their game because it makes them feel better or something. It shows that they only want positive reinforcement rather than genuine criticism. People who care about this game and want to see it grow and thrive are not going to be nice when something bad happens and repeatedly happens because of their inability to do the right thing, or they keep making the wrong decisions. And it is a deliberate choice because they have surveys. They have all of these ways in the Discord alone to receive feedback. They openly admit that they watch videos of people who talk about the game, and they only implement very select things and always offset it with something bad. We get a new content update, great, we get War Striders. We get more squid content, guess what? Leviathans. And then they have to go back and re-change everything. They have to redo a bunch of things. They have to re-add mechanics that they either deliberately or unintentionally remove to compensate for what they changed, just to placate people who are upset. And it's honestly, it was predictable. This whole thing was predictable and pathetic. I'm gonna leave a video link, and I'll leave a picture of it right here of the video I watched. This individual goes over great detail of a lot of the stupid, childish controversies that Arrowhead has been in since this game launched. Just this game. So I want to let that sink in for a second. This is a deliberate decision that these individuals are making at Arrowhead. They don't respect you. If they respected you, they would be professional and mature enough to just put in the patch notes how they felt, like they did back during the Incarnate, wrong game, Incendiary Breaker nerfs. If they really want to cater that niche audience, they can. They just need to be upfront and honest about it, because doing this just destroys player trust. There will always be people that defend this game no matter what, and it's a little pathetic that despite all these problems, there are people that still want to defend it, but what can you do? Overall, it just feels super disappointing and really unnecessary to have these really petty changes to the Hive Guard and the Berserker and not just be super vague with all of these other changes to enemies. It just shows a clear, deliberate choice to hide things that make no sense to hide, because they've openly talked about this stuff in the past. They are not consistent with their choices on what to disclose. They're not consistent on their decisions either. The 60-day plan was an abnormality. It was an exception to the rule.